Hey everybody. Hey everybody. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Welcome guys. Welcome. I'm letting those notifications go out. Okay. Shout out to everybody. Now, a couple things before we get started. First of all, I hold up. I got another screen open. I have not gotten the transcripts for today. If we're going to read transcripts, it's going to be the read where we left off today before the hearing started. Okay. So I just want to make that clear. Now, we can receive the transcripts anytime because that's what happened yesterday. We received them. We're like, all right, we're changing gears. But that could very well happen. But we're going to read where we left off yesterday. Where we left off today, which was yesterday's hearing during the lunch break. Okay. Just want to make sure everybody understands. Now, a couple things too. There is a lawyer here you guys, I'm sure some of you guys already know who he is. He's a pretty big in law tube, by the name of Good Logic. And I want you guys to like hear his perspective. And I'm kind of like wondering how you guys feel about this. Okay. Shout out to him. His channel is Good Logic. Like law and then GIC. Let me know if you guys know this guy. Let me know, okay? So apparently he's at the Diddy trial. He's actually a practicing attorney out of New York. So it's amazing. I think it's good to get his perspective. Yes, we did. And by the way, yes, we did. We did pass 80 over 80,000. So that's amazing. Let's keep chucking and going. I promise we will celebrate after the Diddy trial's over because there's just too much stuff going on. And I still have so much things to catch up on. I'm not even there. And then also the person that was asking me about the sangria, the non-alcoholic sangria, this is it. But see, it's a green bottle. Y'all see? It's a green bottle and it's a green screen. So it's literally, y'all can't see the bottle, but it's a Mexican sangria. But the bottle is green. So it's very see-through. It's very green screen. Y'all see it? Let me know if you guys have had this brand before. Okay. Like I said, the bottle is green. That's why it's doing that. But shout out to everybody. Yes, we will definitely have another music dance or something. That's what I had. I had a chimichanga today. It was like, I need some food and he needs to be heavy. I didn't get to take a nap, which was fine. Whatever. I'll probably sleep well tonight. But then we'll be here in the morning, of course. But yeah, okay. So let's get it together. I want to watch a little bit of this, and then maybe between now and then, you never know. Transcripts might appear. We just never know. We never know. Things kind of roll the way that they do. Hold up now. Let me put a little heart here. Okay. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. Listen to what Good Logic had to say. Mm-hmm. You said no sound? You guys have no sound? Okay. Then it's my, hold up. Give me 1 second. Okay. It's probably something on my end, but let me do this right now. Here it is. Okay. He's not muted. There's something going on my end.
Is the
Can you hear
girlfriend
now?
of Diddy, who was allegedly sex trafficked between
Can y'all hear
2021 and 24. That cross-examination was conducted by defense counsel Tenny Garagos. She had started this cross-examination yesterday. We had 4 hours of testimony today. It was a little more heated than yesterday, and I felt the opinions of the room were really crystallizing one way or another on this particular trafficking issue. I'm Joe Neerman, aka Good Logic. I am a New York litigator who's come down to the Southern District of New York, a district in which I have practiced in that very building. And I am here to try and break down for you the legal perspectives, how things are breaking down. How well is the state moving forward with its case? How well is the defense presenting their obstacles to the state? How good a job is the judge doing? And perhaps most importantly, giving you a vibe for how the case seems to be proceeding for the alternate jury that's sitting with me, those journalists in the room with me who have been watching this trial day by day. What is their takeaway? And today, we really saw that takeaway. When I'm covering the trial, I tend to focus on which side is doing the questioning. So I'm going to look at this from the perspective of the defense today. And I'll tell you, the defense had a pretty good day. They had a pretty good day in the following sense. When you're listening to Jane, if you're not familiar with who Jane is, meaning you haven't been following the Diddy saga for the last several years, and this is just a new person being thrust in front of you, which hopefully that's the situation for the jurors.
Yes.
She presents very credibly, very, very believable. The problem is that the story she presents really does not seem to equal up to sex trafficking. It seems as if she described a synopsis of what it is that she went through while she was his girlfriend. And that synopsis, she basically broke down, so I do a hotel freak off, then a couple of days later, I'm exhausted, battered, don't want to do it. Then a couple of days later, I see that while he's giving me that type of trauma, that he's off with another girlfriend of his, buying her gifts, taking her to Turks and Caicos or some other restaurant. They're posting on Instagram or Facebook, and I'm getting all angry about it. So I start venting at him. He says, if you don't like it, you can leave. And then I do, and his people or he will start blowing up my phone until I finally respond. And then when I respond, he'll love bomb me and make me feel really special and really important, and how completely in love we are with each other. And I fall back under his wing, and then I go back for another freak off, and we repeat the entire cycle. This is awful. It's terrible. This is a nightmare. It really sounds terrible. But is it trafficking? Is it coercion? When she's describing this in this way, is it coercion? When she describes, and some of the stuff that came up on cross-examination today really displayed the fact that she keeps referring to Diddy as my partner, my lover, my partner, my lover, every time she talks about anything she did. I did this I contacted this porn star at the direction of my lover. My partner asked me to reach out to Kabara. My lover wanted to see me send out texts about these types of fantasies, so that's why I saw that. That's why I'm doing that here. One after another, over and over again. And let's say I believe her, which personally I do. I believe everything she's saying. What that means is that when she's going through these freak offs, the motivation is that it's for her lover. And that became crystal clear.
I can believe what she went through, but here's the question that I have. Is it S trafficking? I can believe that she went through all of that. I actually do believe a lot of what she says, actually. There's some questions that I have, but I do believe a lot of what she says. But is it S trafficking? That's the question. That's where it kind of goes at. Hold up, y'all. Let me get my desk ready. Is it S trafficking? What do you guys think in the chat?
When she talks about Valentine's Day 2022, which she was basically telling him that she had a special surprise for him that he didn't even ask for, of having a hotel night, one of these freak offs with two men. Now, in context, a couple weeks earlier, she learned that he had a new girlfriend, a much younger girlfriend. And it's very easy for someone to take away from this that she wanted to have Diddy for Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. And she knew that this would work, which is a display of the fact that these hotel nights for her, unlike what we saw with Cassie, these display nights were a way, not just what she was, a job that she's supposed to do, but something that she wanted to do in order to bait the hook for Diddy to come around.
Yep.
And while that sounds horrible and terrible, and while she probably hated it, that doesn't make it not her choice.
Yep.
Contrast that, and this is what was an interesting thing, and why people are watching this who are big Diddy fans or Diddy haters. I think both sides are going to hate me for this. They're not going to like this report, because this really made clear to me today, at least my opinion, that he did not traffic Jane, but that he very much trafficked Cassie. Because the stark contrast between Cassie's story and Jane is this.
There is a difference, guys. There is a difference between, I don't know, like between these two, between Cassie and Jane Doe, okay? And I had said this too. I was like, there's a difference in terms of like what she's expressing. I'm not saying that it's any less traumatic. I'm saying, does it fall under RICO? That's the question that I have to ask. I wonder about this.
With Cassie, we have these incidents where she's blackmailed, where she's threatened, where her boyfriend is chased off, where he's flying into rage and getting physical, laying hands on her, punching her in the middle of freak offs, or blackmailing with, I'm going to ruin your parents' lives. I'm going to release this to the world. Everyone's going to see these videos, showing her the video on a commercial flight, keeping it running for 5 hours on a commercial flight for anyone who's walking by just to see it, and saying, and documenting that there were threats, sending emails to her family. Hey, mom, heads up, this is what's been going on, and these are threats I'm facing. That's a woman we can document that the night that she's threatened, she goes and engages in a freak off. That does not sound like free choice. In fact, quite the contrary. It shows mens rea from Diddy. That he knows that the reason she's doing this is because she feels threatened. And once you have that mens rea from him, once you have her acting under that type of duress, that's the force we're talking about under 18 U.S.C. 1591. And that's why I think he deserves to be convicted from what we've seen so far. The defense still needs to present their case in chief. But that's why he needs to be convicted for trafficking Cassie. And all of those critical elements seem missing with Jane. Yeah, we had one incident where he was violent, and that's inexcusable and gross and disgusting. Yep. But I also we have no evidence that violence that he performed that night was actually what led to her engaging in a freak off that night. Because we also heard about how he was angry that he suspected that she was meeting with a porn star behind his back. So there's violence, and he's acting like a monster, which that's what Diddy does. He is a monster. But is it this crime? Is it trafficking? And or if it's trafficking, he has to be forcing her to engage in this sexual encounter. And I question whether even that encounter that night was because she was afraid of violence, which seemed like the violence was over. But that perhaps it's arguable that her motivation was that she felt sad that she disappointed him by her conduct with Anton outside of Diddy's presence.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, she's trying to make amends by doing something nice for her lover.
Yep.
And as terrible and awful and a ridiculous, stupid decision that it is by her, and how whatever big a-hole you want to call him, that's not forcing her into this sexual encounter. And that's not 18 U.S.C. So we don't have 18 U.S.C. 1591.
On Jane.
So I believe Jane. I believe her testimony. I think she's highly credible. Other folks who are watching this don't believe her. They know the background, the history. They say, she's chasing after the money, and that's what Tenny wanted us to believe from much of her testimony today. And she denies it. She said everything she was doing was to try and get more quality love from Diddy. I believe her, and even believing her, I still don't think that's trafficking. I think he's a monster. I think maybe it sounds like domestic violence. Sounds like he's a terrible human being. It's just not 18 U.S.C. 1591. But it really crystallized for me how it is clear that the way he treated Cassie was forcing her to engage in those encounters. And that's why my conclusion is that so far, before we have any defense, he's going to have a tough time convincing me that he's not guilty of sex trafficking Cassie, but that he is guilty of trafficking. He's innocent of trafficking Jane. That's my breakdown. If this type of thing is your deal, I urge you, please like, share, subscribe. I'm a New York attorney. I'm down in the courthouse covering this every day.
I like his breakdown. So his name is Good Logic. Cheeks just dropped the channel in the chat if you want to check him out. I think that so far from reading what I've read so far, now I haven't read anything, everything I would say. I think that this is he makes a very good point that it's like there's certain circumstances that kind of make you question. And there's a lot to say about what makes this Jane Doe believable, or if it's not even that if it's believable, just that does it fall under as trafficking? That's the question. I don't know. To me, I'm kind of like leaning over there to what he's saying, just based on what I've been reading. But you guys let me know in the chat. I'm not an expert. I'm just a commentator on the internet. Unalive Monroe, thank you so much for the Cash App. I really appreciate it. Thank you, love. Shout out to you. Okay. So we're going to get right into it. We have not received the transcripts for today, but we're going to go right where we left off during lunch, okay? We're going to do that right now, but I wanted to show you guys that because I thought it was a good video. I really like his perspective and just kind of how he breaks things down, okay? So let's start right here. Shout out to everybody. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. And it's interesting. I haven't watched... He's the first commentator that I watched today, but I haven't watched Mims. I haven't watched all the other people to see what today was like, because I'm like, I want to make sure that that I kind of want to get through this and then maybe read the transcripts before I go, because I'm kind of wondering. I don't want people to make up my mind for me. Does that make sense? Sometimes I have to kind of read things on my own to figure it out. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Okay, so we left off right where they were coming back from lunch, okay? And this was again yesterday. Yesterday was June 10th, so we're gonna continue reading from here, okay? So, good afternoon, Jane. She says, "Good afternoon, Miss Garagos." Okay? And we talked about earlier this morning about your career before you met Mr. Combs. We talked about content creation and how you were an influencer, but you also did some modeling, right? Yes. Can you explain what the modeling was? What was that career? Earlier on, I did some print modeling, which was in magazines, more like swimwear modeling. I did music videos. I was on commercials. I did a couple of movies. This was just like early on. Just various like entertainment modeling jobs. Okay. I want to bring up just for the witnesses and the parties, so no more exhibits are brought up. If we can put those up for review, are these text messages between you and Mr. Combs from October 29th to about November 1st of 2021? Yes. Do you recognize them to be messages between the two of you? Yes. Okay. So no objection from Comey on these exhibits. Okay. I realize that I realize this is around Halloween, right? Garrigo says, yes. Are you dressed up in a Halloween costume? Yes. And these are examples of modeling photos. This was a Halloween party, but would you do a photo shoot? Would you do a shoot for a party? Because if you go to the next page, she responds, yes. So this was at a Halloween event, and this was my costume. And when I went to a Halloween event and took some photos there too, and they were just like candid iPhone photos. Okay. So these are not modeling shoots. No. These are just your Halloween shots basically from my iPhone. Yes. Okay. So from your iPhone, Garagos then says more exhibits are presented. Oh my God, GMAT, I got me a chimichanga, by the way. Shout out to you, GMAT. Okay. Okay. Hold up. Sorry, y'all. I got to drink some water. All right. So if we could just go to page 5 of this exhibit, put 4 and 5 next to each other. You guys are discussing here. You say, my spot is empty. Just chill, baby. Whatever. Just want to see you. So LMK, which is let me know, right? Yes. How to drive soon? Yes. Okay. There's some audio messages, and on the next page, on page 5, he says, what you trying to do, pick it up. What you trying to do? You say whatever, baby, I'm yours. He said, I had a rough day. I had you to lead. Can you lead tonight? Right? Yes. Can you go to the next page? He says, can you lead me? I want to be led. You say, of course, baby. Okay, let's freshen up and get cute for each other. Have a little drink and see where the vibe takes us, right? Yes. Okay. So she's reading these text messages and they're kind of reviewing these text messages at this point, okay? Okay. And what do you say after that? I said, heavy on the drinking. I need one too. LOL. If you're not drinking, it's okay. With the heart face emoji. Is that what it looks like right there? Yes. And he says on the next page, don't feel like being around people, right? Yes. And you say, okay, baby, about to head your way. 24 minutes? Yes. And do you remember after these messages, you did a hotel night with Mr. Combs? Yes. Okay. If we can go to F-101, which is evidence, page 10 and 11 next to each other. These messages are between you and Cabral. Yes. And in these messages, which appear to be a day after UTC time, October 30th, you're reaching out to him saying, baby, send me any beef jerky off videos. I am torching myself. RN, right? Yes. Is this, if you recall, is this when you're with Mr. Combs at his home? Are you at a hotel and you're reaching out to him? How does this come out about? How does this come about? Yes, I'm in a hotel with Mr. Combs partying. We were probably under the influence, and he's asking me to reach out to Cabral to send some explicit videos or photos. And I'm doing an outreach right here, just doing that right here. And you're telling Cabral, I'm torching myself right now, right? Yes. And then you say, I love a rock hard ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling jerking, beef jerking to me, anything that's in your phone, right? Yes, Lord, I have to break it apart when it comes the rock and the hard and gotta break that up. Gotta break that up because we gotta break it. That's too much for me to read. I can't read that in one sentence. Hell, I feel like I gotta brush my teeth afterwards. Like, are you kidding me? Noemi Rodriguez, thank you so much for the $9.99. Hold up. I'm only paying attention because I had to stop. Okay. Anyway, she responded yes. Give me 1 second. I gotta read Noemi's comment. Diddy offered a love contract, not S contract, not addressing terms. Fraudulently, love contract, a person hears love as love. He was word enterprise, business, contractual, astute. Thanks for all that you do. Noemi Rodriguez, thank you for this $9.99, my love. Shout out to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm sorry, y'all. Try not to blush. Okay. I think we're past that at this point, right? We're past that. I think so. Okay. Let's keep going, okay? Um, she says yes. Okay, Garrico says if we could take that down and jump to page 23. I just meant zoom out. Sorry, I'll get better at that terminology, Garrico says. And is this a couple of days afterwards, like 3 days after on November 2nd? He says, yes, please do beautiful. I can't wait to meet you. I really enjoy your energy on FT, right? Yes. That's the FaceTime that you spoke about on direct examination? Yes. And then you say you love the two messages. And you say, we're off to a good start then. LOL. Okay. I'll be in touch soon, right? Yes. And then he says, okay, love, keep me updated. And then it's about 5 days, 4 days later, I apologize, that you reach out to him again, right? Yes. And that is Mr. Combs' birthday is November 4th. Yes. So it's like 2 days after his birthday that you reached out to him again. Yes. Okay. Garrigo speaks. So if we could bring up more exhibits to the next page, we're going to skip that narrative and go right to the question. He says, or you say, okay, I might have a little time off if you want to spontaneously come tomorrow night or Monday and I'll organize, right? Yes. And you say, but we'll talk then before then once I see it's even possible, right? Yes. So here you're planning something for a few days in advance, right? Yes. And was that for a planned hotel night that was going to take place in a few days? These messages kind of give me that I'm with Mr. Combs and we're trying to figure out how we're going to see Cabral and when we will see him. You remember doing a hotel night October 30th, a couple days before that, right? Yes. And then you're with him in between, and you're with him, and then a couple days later after his birthday. Yes, maybe. And then you think that then you're planning a hotel night for a few days from then, right? Yes. Okay. Could you bring up exhibits for the witnesses? Or these are exhibits, by the way. I actually moved this in because it's parallel exhibit. Unless Miss Comey says I have no objection. Okay, as long as it's under seal. Okay, under seal. Okay. These messages here are November 5th, 2021, right? Yes. Same date as we were just looking at. Yes. So you sent him some emojis on the top left and saying, thinking of you. He says, I have a plan. Sunday fun day, fly ATL in, Paul, fresh, a freak, fresh birthday celebration, right? Yes. And you responded, hey, birthday boy, sounds like a bloody good time, right? Yes. You say because I'm still going to be bleeding, right? Yes. He says, okay, think what day works for you, right? Yes. Because I want to see that ATL with you, right? Yes. And ATL is Cabral? Yes. And he says, have you been thinking about it? Yes, he does. What did you respond with? I say, maybe midweek, baby. A little what I'm going to do with all that D, LOL. What am I going to do with all that D, LOL? What you want to see, baby? Okay. Okay. Let me stop right here. Why is this highlighted? I don't know if that's a typo there because I'm still going to be bleeding, right? Bleeding from what? What is this? What is this? Okay, all right. Just sounds so off, but okay. So then she responds, what am I going to do with all that D, LOL? What you want to see, baby? Then followed by a question. Now hold up. Sylvia, thank you for the 1999. Please share, like, and join. Let's get Rabbit to 100,000. Together we can do it. Show your appreciation. Oh my God, we're getting there. I am praying about it. All right, we gonna get. That's our goal. 100,000. Thank you, Sylvia. And shout out to all my supporters. Y'all are amazing. You think she's talking about her cycle? She remember how Cassie would talk about it? She talked about that she even had to do it in her. I know. I'm like, she said what? I'm thinking it's the cycle that she's talking about. But hey, man, I don't know, you guys. I mean, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, because I'm thinking like, it's not like they were. He was doing it with like that with Cassie. Okay, so all right, let's keep going. But she, okay, here's what kind of turns me like, oh my God, girl, you're talking about the whole, cycle. I'm thinking it's cycle. And then you joke about what am I going to do with all this D, LOL? You want to, what you want to see, baby? I think so too, Night Owl, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Okay, let's keep going. Question. Is that an emoji right next to what you want to see, baby? Yes, it's a smirk. It's a smirk emoji, like you want him to tell you what he wants, right? Yes. And he says so many things. Yes. Okay. Garagos then says the next one, page. Okay. And what we look at page 4, you say you can only see those videos when you're with me. And then you send him a prawn video, right? Yes. Is that Cabral in the prawn video? Yes. Is that, and this is an example of so that's that website, but it's spelled block here. And you guys were telling about it in the chat earlier in the morning, and I was saying it wrong intentionally, I promise. But I think this is what that website is. So the question is that, and this is an example of blocked, the prawn that you were watching, right, of Cabral? And he says, girl, I ask you, what have you been thinking about? And sends me a picture. And send me a picture so I can envision you, right? Right. Okay. So if we can go to the next 2 pages, they're like going through this exhibits. These exhibits are crazy. And he says, you haven't thought about it. And what do you say? I have. Curious what that would feel like, super deep inside. Okay. Pulling in and out of the walls and hitting past some of the spots. Okay. Oh man, this is yeah. Yeah, Regina, you think that they're saying that he made her bleed? Okay. Yeah, I'm trying, y'all. Good thing I didn't read this during the lunch hour, because then I don't think I would have been able to eat. Okay. Then the question goes, and he says, damn, I want to see it. How you handle. What does how you handle mean? It means how you handle someone during S, like a male partner. Okay. And then you respond to him. You'll be right there pouring the warm oil on my area, watching go slowly deep. Okay, we're going to keep moving. So here you say warm oil. Can you explain for the jury why warm oil? What is the process of the baby oil that the hotel nights, or any hotel or any night with Mr. Combs? Well, here I'm following his lead where he says, I want you to lead. So I'm fantasy talking about the things that he likes. And one of them being about this oil, which he prefers like hot and warm oil. Like in the bathtub, it gets warm. And then we take it out and we just pour it all over each other's bodies, or he likes, or how he likes it. And when I pour it all over my body or the entertainer's body. Okay. And then the next page, on page 6, you continue with 6 more texts, right? Yes. And about halfway down there, you're um, eating beef jerky, Paul hovering over me while he waits his turn, right? Yes. And when you say he waits his turn, is that in reference to Cabral? Yes. So what you're saying to Mr. Combs in this exchange is that you're giving him the fantasy talk that you believed he liked. Yes. Uh, and you're telling him the fantasy talk is that you would have Cabral, then Paul would have to wait his turn, right? Yes. Okay. And Miss Garagos keeps speaking. Okay. And then if we could look at, we could just take this down, more exhibits, and tell me when to move on to the next page. You could move on to the next page. Okay. 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 Have you reviewed it? Yes. So she says okay like 3 times, and I'm wondering if she's getting like a little bit of like maybe just like because she's reading these very interesting messages between them, right? So this must be like one of those things where it's like I don't want to be doing this, but I have to do this, so she's going through this, all of this, okay? Um okay. So she says, "Have you reviewed it?" She says, "Yes." "Is this a message between you and Mr. Combs on November 8th of 2021? Yes. Okay. And then of course Ms. Garrigo says, "Can we move on to admit 3014 R under seal, Your Honor? No objections." Okay. And this is a message a couple days after, right? Garagos is asking. "I believe so, yes." And you next text him, "This can be published to the jury. Baby, excuse me, night, baby, hope you're feeling a little better. Sweet dreams," right? Yes. And he says, "Good morning." You say, "Good morning, handsome. I just looked at my phone. You dropped off your child and now heading home to get ready for my day. How are you feeling, baby? Right?" Yes. Okay. So next page. Then you're saying, he says, "I'm good, baby. How are you?" You say, "Good, baby. Just gonna shoot a little today." Right? Yes. What is that about? What is that shoot? "I was shooting for one of this pose was a necklace pose. I had to shoot a quick photo with a necklace." Okay, so that was a paid spot. Yes. Okay. And I believe I have to see the picture again, but it's a content photo. Okay, if you can go to the next page, and then you're sending him photos, right? Yes. And you go to the next page, all right? And he loves the photos, right? Yes. And he sends like the heart face there. Yes. And then he sends you a message. "I want to eat your I want to something something." And he says, "How far from my house?" Right? Yes. And then you sent 2 emojis, right? What are those emojis? The tongue in the water. What is that a connotation? What is that connotation? It was just a harp on wanting to eat chimichangas. Chimichangas. Whatever. I'm just making up words, okay? All right. If we could go to the next page. And then on page 8, you say, "Want to come over my place after 4 p.m.? Right. Yes. With the smirk emoji. Yes. Yes. He said the meow. He said the kitty cat. Yes, he did. Okay. Um, and he says, "I can't. I have studio." Right? Yes. And you say, "Okay, baby, I'm free after 3. So tell me, I want to sit." Okay, like we got to get right to it. She wants to take a seat. Okay, says yes. All right, so go to the next page. Okay. You say on the bottom of page 9, "What you want to do, baby? Come by," he says. "Come by if you want." You say, "Okay, baby, 5-ish." Okay, yes. All right, so this voice note on November 8th, 2021 at 11:46, he would like admit, we would like to admit it under 3041A under seal and play that. Okay. Comey says, "I'm sorry, Your Honor. I don't think I had the chance to listen to that." Garrigo says, "We can move on." Question. Garagos continues questioning. You said, baby, LOL. I said, I'm free after 3, so you can tell me, right? Yes. Okay, so let's go to the next page. You say, I'm getting ready to head your way, right? Yes. He says, I got to go somewhere at 8. You say, okay, I'll stop by and hug and squeeze you, right? Yes. And it's after this that you have another hotel night. Does that sound about right? Maybe, yes. Why don't we get to the defense exhibit 3016 for the witnesses? Just page 1 right now. And then we will skip ahead. Okay, so they're talking about where they're going to go. All right, let me stop right here real quick because I want to do something for the YouTube bots. I got a message for the YouTube bots. Give me 1 second. YouTube bots. Let me remove this. Let me make myself smaller. YouTube bots, this is educational content, okay? It is for educational purposes. We are reading a court transcript. Now, of course, I have heavily censored myself for the purposes of reviewing this. That's how we're going to do this. We are censoring ourselves heavily, but this is educational content with commentary to provide context and education about a very public case by the name of U.S. Sean Diddy Combs. U.S. versus Sean Diddy Combs. Okay. We are a commentary channel, just like Law and Crime does their thing. We're doing our thing. Okay. Just want to make sure that the YouTube bots were aware. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, we are not giving legal or medical advice, but this is educational content. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's see. Where did I leave off at? Question. Have you reviewed these messages with the government? Are you familiar with them? A little bit, yeah. We move to admit 3016 under seal, Your Honor. No objections. Exhibit 3016 is admitted. Could we go to page 2? This is November 9th, right? Yes, this is November 9th. And you write, driving and just thinking of you, right? Yes. And what do you say? It's good you're going, baby. I am so corny for you. And he responds, what do you want to do? Be explicit. And then he has emojis there, right? Yes. What does that emoji mean to you? Like wild and crazy with the tongue sticking out and eyes crossed. And what is your response? In response to this, to his be explicit, I say, I want to do something to Paul's, have lunch with Paul while you give him that strong game. Okay? When he says, be explicit, your response about Paul, right? Yes. Okay, and go to the next. And then what do you say next? This is also in regards to the fantasy of men. Okay. Why don't we put them aside so that we can see that this is a continuation to those pages? Okay, so at 4:19 a.m. UTC time, you say that, and then 1 minute later, you continue, right? Yes. So playing in this fantasy talk that I know that my lover likes, I then began to say, I want to get some duck juice and enjoy the strong game. I say I loved you, rubbed the oil all over my leg, and do all this stuff. Okay, let's keep going. When you look at me in the eyes, giving me every hard something, and then something. This is getting too much of a Cinemax thing. Okay, and then I'm thinking a heart, another emoji, and water. Okay, literally describing actions that we cannot even talk about here, even if I censor myself, so I have to be careful. So the white emoji is thinking, yes. And then the water, is that supposed to be a actual emoji? Yes. Okay. And then he responds with phew, right? Yes. And so he asked you to be explicit. You give him the fantasy talk that he likes. And he says, phew, yes. Okay. So next page. And you send him a photo. Then on page 5, you say, my daddy left me all alone and Come and keep me company. The store, the closest at 12. So just in case you need to go, let me know. Let me know, right? Yes. LOL, me miss you. He responds, what are you going to get? Yes. What did you say? Just need outfits. I may have some here, but mostly black type of outfits. So this is a store that you would get outfits that he likes, right? Yes. Okay. If we can go to the next page, Miss Garagos continues. So then on page 8, you say, what do you want to do? Right. I believe that he says, what you want to do. Right. And then you say, what do you say in response? I said, spend some time with my favorite person. I sent an attachment and I said, these are my faves. And and I said, what do you want to do? What does he respond with? He responds with me and Paul to stop by. Okay, so let me stop right here. She's sending pictures of the favorite people that she wants to be with. She says, I said spend time with my favorite person. Oh, her favorite person. Okay. I sent an attachment. These are my faves. And I said, what do you want to do? And she said, and that's the question that then Teeny asked, what does he respond with? He responds with me want and Paul to stop by. And he asks you, so what do you want to do? You respond with you respond with that. You wanted to spend time with your favorite person, I assume. That's Mr. Combs. Right. And then you say, what do you want to do? And he responds with me and Paul to stop by. Right. Right. And then the next page, I'm not sure what that is. What is that? It's a photo of like a funny gif of two people with their eyeglasses down. And then you say, I don't have all the things you like here. More than a welcome to come by, baby. Yes. And he says, so just us. Right. Okay. I want to go to the next page. He says, want to meet at my house? And you say, sure, baby, when? And he says, I can't have Paul at my house, right? Yes. And he would tell you that he can't have any of the entertainers at his house, right? Right. At his house. At any house he has, there's a house manager, right? Yes. There's housekeepers. Sometimes his employees are there, right? Yes. And is his sometimes his children could be there. Yes. And his bedroom is not really set up for privacy or having entertainment there, right? Yes. So it's not his bedroom is exactly the isolated for that, right? Right. So he would say, I can't have Paul at my house. And you say, yes, we know, baby. I don't mind my place. I just didn't grab a few things, need to grab a few things to the store that you like, right? Right. Like your drinks and your stuff. I have oils. Normally I have that, right? Yes. Okay. So literally, like talking about having an event at her house. Okay. Because he can't do it at his house, right? He can't do it at his house. So that's something to consider. Only one is it Jo or Geo? Thank you so much for becoming a member. Shout out to you. So this is her setting this situation up. What do you guys make of that? I have to literally, I can't read this whole thing because I like if I was doing a video on pre-recorded, I literally would have to skip every word, mute myself. And I have on pre-recorded videos, it's a little bit different. But like, let me know what you guys think because like here, she's literally setting things up. She's literally setting things up. So this must have been a good time. I guess there had to be things. Is this S trafficking? That's the question. That's the argument that people are going to have. Is this S trafficking at this point? Is it sounding very much like she was setting some of this up? And maybe this is where good logic is coming from. That people feel like, well, take the fact that she's dated people in the industry out. This isolated incident. Where does this stand with you guys? Let me know. And again, educational content. This is what we're doing, okay? Let me know, okay? All right, let's keep going. Okay. And then you say, what do you want? What do you say in response? I said, spend time with my favorite person. Okay, I read that. I'm not going to reread that again. Okay, let's keep going. So it sends her a picture of Paul. And then the next page, I'm not sure what that is. It's a photo. Okay, why did it go back to the same page? All right, so they can't do it at his house because of the people. And more, more than welcome to come, baby, right? Yes. And he says, so just us? Right. And then the next page, he says, you want to meet up at my house? And you say, sure, baby, when? And he says, I can't have Paul at my house. Okay, so we reviewed this. He's got housekeepers, he's got people. He can't have these people in there. His children are there. And his bedroom is not really set up for privacy of having the entertainer there, right? Right. And so it's not, his bedroom is not exactly isolated for that, right? Right. So he says, I can't have Paul in my house. And you say, yes, we know, baby. I don't mind my place. I just have to grab a few things. Okay, we read this. She got the oil. Okay. And I think we had a look at a lot of these messages on direct examination. You testified that you knew he would like the fantasy talk that he said. You knew it would turn him on, right? Yes. And you realized that with Paul there, this was becoming the dynamic of your relationship, right? Yes, as you can see there or here, we're talking about wanting to see each other, and the options he's given me is him and Paul. And you say, sure, baby, right? Because that's what was the only option I was given. I wanted to see my lover. And so I'm accepting that. You had said that he said, what do you want to do? You said you wanted to see him. And then you asked him, what do you want to do, in all caps? What do want to do, right? What do you want to do, in all caps, right? And that was the option that he said when you said, what do you want to do, right? We could go back, right? If we could go back. Okay, why don't we go back? And if we look at page 8, so semantics, I don't know, but here it's like she's like, wait a minute, he didn't offer to do a an FO or a hotel night here. He's asking you what you wanted to do. And you're saying, well, I wanted to spend time with him. Did she think that this was the only way to do it? I mean, in part, it sounds like that's the only way she knew because that's what he wanted, but he wasn't really asking for it. Okay. All right then. Let's keep going. Okay. And then they go back. Okay. So he says, what do you want to do? And I say, spend time with my favorite person, which is him. And then I send an attachment. I say, these are my faves. And then I say, what do you want to do? And he gives me a photo. He gives me an option of wanting me and Paul to stop by. That was my option. That was an option. And that was a question that he posed, right? Yes. Okay. So they're bringing up more exhibits. And I move to admit this, Your Honor, because I have to agree with Comey says no objection as long as the redactions are made. Okay, let's keep going. All right. Jane, if you could look at page 2, we could put 2 and 3 next to each other. He says, if you could do something freak nasty today, what would it be? Are you in the mood? Are you in the mood? Right? Right. And you respond by saying, LOL. Is that the smirk emoji? Yes. Can you explain the smirk emoji? The smirk emoji is kind of like something like a little something. How do I say? Is it for flirtatious? I can't even speak. Is it flirtatious? I would say yes. Okay. And you say, put something essy on just to have fun with you, baby. I'm always in the mood, right? Yes. And he says, just me? Right. And then it goes to the next page, right? And you love it. And you say yes, right? Yes. And he says, you can't handle more with and he says you can't handle no more with question marks and laughing emojis, right? Right. Those are says it's joking. There's a typo here. You can't handle no more, right? Right. And you respond about 20 seconds later. I was just going to add unless you want to play, right? Right. And he says, I have so much S that it would have to be some freak shit, but you would have to want it too. Maybe you need a break, right? Yes, these are the options that he was giving me. He was giving you the option to take a break. Okay. So his options are I had so much S, it would have to be some, freaky-ish, but you would have to want it too, right? The options he's given me here is that he's asking me if I'm in the mood, what kind of mood I'm in. You can't handle no more trying to encourage and insinuate me to have S with someone else. And then he says, maybe you need a break. That's more of like a tease, just kind of like a tease me and taunt me, like if I can't keep performing. And here I am in 2021, really madly in love and wanting to please him, appease him, and just saying, like, I'm in great spirits, like, no worries. Yes, I'm all good. So I'm agreeable here. Okay. She says, you're agreeable. You're telling him, I'm just fine, baby. That's right. And you at that, you know that at that time you really loved Mr. Combs and you wanted to do what he wanted to do, right? Yes. So here, instead of saying, I just need a break, you say, I'm just fine, baby. That is correct. And even though he says, maybe you need a break, right? Even though he says, I need a break, the undertone of that is, I can't handle anymore, kind of like teasing and taunting me to have one more of these nights. What do you guys think of that? Was that, why was she taking it that way? She's taking it like, I guess I'm trying, and we can't play like, I'm trying to understand this, right? And I'm not there, I'm not in the context or anything like that, but was he, I kind of wonder, I'm just going to throw this out here, right? Knowing that this man was non-monogamous, okay? And I said this earlier today. Some of you guys agreed with this, some of you guys didn't, but I have to ask the question. All right. Did she feel like she was competing with the other people? Did she feel like, well, shit, like if I need a break, then here comes Carisha, or here comes Gina, or here comes Jade, or here comes all these other people that are going to be like coming in through, and taken over. Like these women could take my place. That's what it seems like. Like he said similar things to Cassie, right? But Alexis, do you think that it was implied like this is over? Or was it like a challenge? What was he like? Like she's saying he's teasing and taunting me. Was it a challenge? I think 2, 3 things can be true at the same time, but it's the way in which she's interpreting, right? Because I think honestly, she said, this was something that was us. This is us, right? This is an opportunity for him to be vulnerable with me. This is, so I feel like it could be both ways. Like I could be replaced, or um he's just pushing me to do this FO. I think this could go both ways, if that makes sense. But I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. I don't feel like I have an answer. You said you can manipulate people in different ways. What works towards one may not work towards another. That's true, Ms. Hill. This could be interpreted, I think, in different ways, for sure. I agree. So just throwing this out there. Okay. Yeah. Let's keep going. Even though he says I need a break, and the undertone of that is I can't handle anymore, kind of teasing and taunting me to have one of these nights. And you see the teasing up above almost with the crying, laughing emojis, right? Yes. And you respond to that, but he had an iPhone, right? Yes. So he put the laughing and you reacted with laughter to this laughing emoji, right? Okay, so you guys are teasing and playing here with each other. Yes. Okay. So they go to more exhibits. If you can go to page 4, and you say, after you said, I'm just fine, baby, what do you say to him? Is this the top of the one with, okay, so they're talking about exhibits. Is this the top of the one that she says yes, kiss emoji, with the kiss emoji? Exactly. If we could zoom in, and that would be nice. Okay. I say, what fantasy do you want to happen? What does he say? He says, I want to um something from you, lol. To be honest, I may be talking ish, lol. I don't know what I want to do. I'm lost in the sauce. I need guidance. And you laugh at the response from him, right? Yes. And then you loved, I need guidance, right? Yes. And what do you write next? I said, give me one sec. Sorry, I had somebody at my door. And okay, so there's a response, I need guidance. And what do you write next? I start to pick up on the cue of I need guidance, and he wants me to kind of start this turn on scenario. So I started to say, want me to, oh my God, want me to do something with a D and somewhere. I can shower and get ready to go to the store if you want some fresh outfits. And the next page, I say, I love effing you all day. You had me coming all to the store all the time and all night, all day of the night. Okay. And he says, I need something exciting. I'm jaded, lol. Right? Yes. And you laughed at that? Yes. And then you send him some laughing emojis and say, oh, now we've seen the best. It's like LOL, right? Right. Okay. And then you say, well, ATL is a treat for when album is finished. Paul, you want to invite a girl? Let's play. We can do whatever. Want to peek into an S party? LOL, right? Yes. So she's offering the S parties. Y'all see that? Okay. Says yes. So have you and him been talking about how Cabral is the treat for when he's done with his album? Probably yes. Okay. Is that something you would speak about during the nights with just you and him? Probably. Do you have an independent recollection or you just can you speak the question? I'm sorry. She says, can you speak the question? I'm putting myself back in like 2021. So Tina Garagos is like, do you have an independent recollection or you don't? She then says, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I'm putting myself back in 2021. You right. Well, ATL is the treat for when album is finished, right? Yes. So you have an independent recollection of what that means. Just probably talking about these guys. I don't really know. That's fine. So you remember when you say Paul question mark, meaning Paul the entertainer, right? Yes. Then you say you want to invite a girl, let's play. We can do whatever. Let's peek into an S party, right? Yes. Okay, next page. And then you send, is that a GIF, a meme, or what is that? I think so. And then you say, I'm going to start drinking with some playful emojis, right? Yes. And then you say LOL. And you say, I want to shower in this other bathroom, baby, right? I just want to clarify. Okay. She's clarifying this. I just want to clarify when I said what I said. I want to peek into an S party. I remember at this point, Sean was telling me about S parties and how we should go to one. So that was just something I was giving him options that he already explored or was telling me about. Okay, guys, where do you guys land with this? Where do you guys land with this? See, cheeks? See, here's the deal though. And Good Logic said it. And this is why I was like, I started reviewing that video. I said, listen. Okay. This Jane Doe, regardless of whatever, listen, after whatever happens with Diddy, we're gonna find out, right? I don't think this is the strongest Jane Doe, if that makes sense. And maybe I'm biased, and I'm gonna say my opinion. I believe I'm biased because I know too much about this Jane Doe, right? I know way too, and I know some of you guys in the chat that have followed Diddy historically and understand the ins and outs of every person that he's been with, from the time that he was with J-Lo, since before J-Lo, that kind of thing, you kind of know, right? This specific Jane Doe, who is a very public persona. She's acted in some movies. She's done some modeling. She's out there. She's a Jane Doe specifically because I think that they offered her that, right? Which is fine. Good. I'm glad. However, I don't know if I weigh her as a trafficking victim. Maybe a victim of DV, I can give you that. Coercion, sure. But trafficking per se, I'm not seeing it, y'all. I'm not seeing it. My head is hurting just thinking about just reading this, okay? And I'm like, wait a minute, girl. Like this, there is no comparison to Cassie. You know what I mean? I think Cassie showed a little bit different in terms of, and like I said, there is no perfect victim, but for this specific situation, no, this didn't work. But hey, all right, who knows? Who knows? Maybe the prosecution will come back and do a recross that'll fix the situation a little bit more. But that's it. And maybe they're both victims. I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna stand on the I don't know hill. Okay. That's not taken away from her situation. Not at all. But I think we have to kind of keep in mind that you're talking about S trafficking. Okay. She is a co-conspirator as well as Cassie Ventura. There's a lot of co-conspirators in this. Okay. Yeah, I agree. But I'm not hearing the same. I'm also not hearing, because we're talking about patterns. Yes, the patterns. Oh, the FOs. Gotcha. The baby oils, the this, the that, the this. But she's also like, I'm wondering about this. I just don't know if it's, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. They have her as a trafficking victim. They classified her as a victim. Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's what I gotta say about that. Okay. But let me know what you guys think. And like I said, you guys are entitled to your opinions. We had to block maybe 2 or 3 people that were here earlier because they were just doing too much. And that's why I said, I'm like, yo, we don't have to like agree or anything like that. We just have to keep it cute. Y'all are entitled to your opinion, okay? I don't view her as the same light as Cassie at all. At all. But I also don't think Diddy's a victim. So I don't know about this one. She manipulated him. No, LaShonda. I don't think so. I'm sorry. And I'm a person that can see both sides of the coin. I don't think Diddy was manipulated at all. I think Diddy was stupid. I think there's very monstrous sides of him, but I don't think Diddy was a victim of this or that she manipulated him. Oh, bullshit. I call bullshit on that. But whatever. Okay. I agree with you on this. Completely 1000% agree. And all that material was probably hers, right? That they were buying together. I don't know. Maybe they manipulated each other, but I don't think that Diddy's a victim at all. Like for somebody to say he manipulated him, nah, no, no, Diddy's not being set up. No, I'm sorry. I'm not buying that narrative at all. I'm just not. But that's my opinion. You guys are entitled to yours, okay? Um, okay, so wait, where did I leave off at? Where did I leave off at? Um, damn, I don't want to repeat myself. Okay. Did I leave at so she clarifies. She said that that this was the S parties was something that he wanted to do. So he had brought this up with you previously. Yes. And then you guys are saying it back, and then you guys are saying it back to him as an option. Excuse me. And then you are saying it to him as an option for something you guys can do, right? Yes. And in response in fantasy talk, essentially, or is this an option? Are you actually wanting to go to the S party or is this fantasy talk? I'm under the guidance of, I don't think we scroll back up. He's asking me to guide him, like lead him. Why don't we go to pages 4 and 5? Okay. Um, I'm just in response to, she says, I'm just in response to his, I need guidance. I'm giving him an array of options that I know that he would want to hear or would like to do. And these things are, as you know, things that I would have preferred not to do. But I know my lover really liked to do. So I'm just saying these things to give him options from his I need guidance text. Do you remember after these messages, do you have a hotel night? I believe so. Okay. So then she says, you say this is a few days ahead on November 15th at about 1:58. Hey, my love, I'm home. I had an incredible time with you with the heart emoji, right? Yes. And my baby have a beautiful day in Miami, right? Yes. He responds with the heart emoji as well. Yes. Why is my baby in quotes? Because he liked the way I would say my baby to him and at all times or during these nights or when. I remember this night when I was saying like my baby, like he really liked the way I said that. Okay. So they go to exhibits, no objection from the government. Okay. And this is a few days later. Okay. All right. So they're talking about, so this is a few days later, November 22nd, 2021. Yes. And if you could go to page 6, all right? You say, my love, I just looked at some flights. I can arrive tomorrow at night at 8:30 and leave tomorrow morning Thursday in the time for the holiday. Next text me when you wake up. Let me know what you think. I'm sorry, it's zoomed into one. Oh, is it zoomed in? Okay, so it says, I'm sorry, I never seen these. Sorry. Take as much time as you need. We'll go through them. Okay. So more exhibits. All right. No objection. Okay. Admitted. All right. Let's keep going. So this is an audio exhibit. Can we play voice note 3022 or 23-A? You see that audio message? Yes. Okay. No objection. More things are admitted. Audio is playing. If we can go to the next page, what is page 8? Can you put 8 and 9 next to each other? Okay, no objections. Oh my God. Can we just get to the questions? Can we play that? No objections. Okay, here we go. Um, in these voice notes, you can zoom out. He says, you always wanted to set some ish up. The last vision we had, it was Don and ATL. You see it put together, baby, right? Do you remember listening to that? I remember listening to that. Yes. And you said that definitely super easy for me to set up for sure, but I'm confused because didn't you say that you wanted to save that for a grand finale and this was going to be a showstopper situation? Right. Yes, I'm trying to make an excuse to get out of this thing that he's encouraged me for me to set up. You said it's supposed to be a big grand finale, the big boom, just like fireworks, showstopper situation, right? Yes, prior to this, I do remember having a hotel night and how he said he wanted to see Don and Sly or whatever, and that's what he wanted to see, like two of the main guys. And so I'm feeding into what he wants to hear. And I'm hearing him kind of like say, I want to see you set that up. And okay, so then Tina interrupts. But he says, you agree with me that he says you always wanted to set some ish up for tomorrow night. The last vision he had was it was Don and ATL, right? That's what he said, his voicemail that we listened to. Yes. But the undertone of that, I hear things entirely different. But yes, that is what he said in the voicemail. And that is what I said in the voicemail. But I just know the undertones here. Girl, oh my God. Okay, girl. All right. No, no, no. She's talking about the undertones of a voicemail. No, no. There's a difference when somebody's trying to coerce you to do something, pushing you to do something. She's over here like building off of these fantasies, right? I'm going to tell you guys something. If it wasn't, I don't know, man. I don't know. This don't sound right to me. So these are voicemails that, of course, the government didn't introduce. Well, or if they did, it was in the context of I wanted to be with them, my lover, my love, my. We got that, but here is a little bit different. You guys, let me know what you guys think. Yeah, it's so hard. Like, it would be great to get those voicemails, right? But this is a bit of a hot mess. I will say that, Belen. And I said, totally get that what she's saying, that those coerced and manipulated others have certain tones. Gotcha. Like you're saying that like there's an undertone to it. The undertone was a little bit different, but mm, I don't know, Cheeks. Does she still live in that house? I mean, she's still using the attorney that he's paying. I don't know if she still does. This is what rubbed me kind of the wrong way. And I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. I'll tell you guys what rubbed me the wrong way, okay? When we read this morning, she was so the when she first met Diddy, she met Diddy, right? Diddy was dealing with another friend who was also engaged and messing with Diddy. Okay. They all met at a party. So I don't know, like, were they running in the same crowds? Like, did he think, okay, I can fish her out and maybe take this HO a little bit further? Because this she seems to be more into this. Whereas this other girl's like, she's messing with Diddy, but she's engaged. And then she got, she was engaged and basically moved on from Diddy. Right. I mean, you'd have to be really messed up to be accepting of any situation, of similar situations, or participate or anything like that. But I just have to wonder, guys, like, this don't okay. Hey. Um, yeah, you assume that I would assume too that if Diddy's paying for her rent, then maybe they're still together. I know. Hmm. Let's keep going, okay? See if I don't know how far we can get tonight because I am kind of tired and I got to get some rest. And I know we have 2:47. I don't know if I can keep going. I might have to stop at some point here. So they talk about the undertones, and then she says, "Okay." Teeny Garagos continues, and if we go ahead and page 10 and 11, all right, we'll go ahead and page 10 and 11. Okay, she says, Teeny Garagos continues. So we looked at page 11 on direct examination. Do you remember that? Let's sit on this one. Have a beautiful day. I'm definitely feeling some type of way. Homegirls posting, being there with you. So I genuinely thought you were just missing me. I thought on a quick note to 2-day trip, you wanted to see me, but you wanted a Don and Sly moment in that hotel, in that time hotel vibes, right? Now it makes sense. Yeah, she says. It's the first time I'm seeing the kind of context behind this. So the government went over the other text message with you in their preparation with you? Just this one. They didn't show you the preceding text messages. I didn't hear those voicemails prior to. No. They showed you starting at around this section, right? Around I'm definitely feeling some type of way. Yes. Okay. So they never showed for you the voicemails before when you guys were talking when Mr. Combs said you always wanted to set some ish up. And the last vision we had was done in ATL, right? This is the first time I'm hearing those 3 voicemails. Yes. Why didn't the government show her these or remind her of these voicemails? Hmm? Why? She says, understood. Let me ask you some questions about this. You said homegirls posting being there with you, right? Yes. Posting as in that means on Instagram? Yes. And yesterday you said that we had read a message. I should say where you were saying that you didn't have any postable from your relationship with him after 3.5 years, right? Right. And that was setting. and that was upsetting to you because you wanted to be able to post some things on Instagram, right? It was upsetting to me that I had to endure the majority of the pressure of this relationship. That when I looked up, I had just seen a chaotic whirlwind of dark life that I wasn't proud of. And I just looked up and there's like, I did nothing with my life in those years. I could see that he offered really beautiful other things to other girls that they were able to share, etc., etc. So that's what I meant there. Okay. Um, I think, yeah, yeah. I mean, Storm, it's kind of like if you I've called someone girlfriend or like, hey, like you're posting the home girl or girlfriend. The home girl would be in the context, not really a home girl, but like just to call her out. You know what I mean? Um, uh, uh, um, let's see. Do. So here, when you're referring to homegirl posting being there with you, they're referring to another girl he's with posting on Instagram or another social media site being with him, right? This here is upsetting for me because he's reaching out to me specifically, talking about a fantasy or specifically initiating conversation reg- uh, regarding me with having S with two men. And so I'm thinking, assuming that he's just genuinely thinking about me and it's not about these men. And when I look online and I see that he's spending quality time with another girl, um, hold up. The thing that I would have preferred that he messaged me about, but this is the dynamic. So this is where the frustration starts because I'm being woken up, being talking about men, and then, all right, let me stop right here. So she's just kind of going through this. So we have 249, 247 is when we stop. Hold up. Let me respond to something. I love all that you do. My first day with you, but you didn't finish the transcript earlier from yesterday and today. You're about to quit this one early too, and can't begin again because tomorrow is courtroom. Okay. If you cut the commentary, you can finish then talk at the end. That's why you can't finish respectfully. You know what? Thank you for the feedback, but the way I'm doing this is that I'm doing live coverage on it, and then I have to. I can't read the full transcript because it's several hours, but I will maybe start it and then do a pre-recorded video. That's what I tend to do. So yeah, thank you for the suggestion, but that's not a suggestion that I'm gonna follow. So I appreciate you giving that suggestion. I just have to do what I have to do. And depending on what's being talked about on that day, that's where people want to go right away. So yeah. Yeah. You said, "How do I know you?" I knew I was going to get that comment, which I have to do what I have to do. Like, I still have so many videos to do on commentary. I haven't even finished all of Cassie's video. I still have to do that. So I'm going to do what I got to do. But, it is what it is. I mean, the person was respectful. They weren't cursing at me. But easier said than done. That's what I have to say. Easier said than done. So I got to stop where I got to stop because otherwise I'm not going to sleep. Okay. And no, I don't want to read transcripts in the morning and then catch up to what the live commentary is. It doesn't make sense. I have to talk about what is trending on that trial that day because that's where we're going to get to where we need to go. That makes sense. Yeah, and it is hard reading for that long. That's why I'm like, but at least the person was respectful, so I appreciate it. I think they could have come sideways and they didn't, so I appreciate that. Like I said, I've had different people say different things, and I'm like, well, okay, don't do it then. You don't read the commentary. Don't read the transcript. Don't take that on. I'll figure it out. Um, but I owe a lot of videos to people, or at least the people that donated. So I'm gonna be working on that, and that's what I work on the weekends. On okay. Thank you so much, Gabriela. Thank you, Gabs. Thank you. I tried to be kind. Just sometimes people do. That person came respectful. So shout out to them. I appreciate it. They're not in trouble, but I have had people come at me sideways for stopping. Why I have to stop? I don't and the thing is that um I have other things I gotta do, so It's all good. And I labeled the videos so you guys know exactly what the thumb, like if I do a pre-recorded, guys, this is the video, what this is about. We didn't even get the transcripts for tonight yet, so I have to work on my pace. But I will label the videos. Like, guys, this is a video of this. This is what the thumbnail looks like. Make sure you follow. I've been able to finish, like I finished all of Mia's. I know that. There's Nash that I have to do. There's still Cassie that I have to do. There's a lot. We're still editing Cassie's. So there's that. But yeah, that's right. Cheeks is like, I ain't taking this shit. You said pipe down 100. It's 113. It's 113. It's just crazy. All right, but I'll see you guys later. I'll see you guys mañana. Hit the like button. I gotta go to bed. Bye, guys. I gotta rest my voice. Bye, guys. Thank you, guys. Shout out to everybody that supported. Bye, guys.